New CEO of one of the big four banks has just come out to say he hates consultants. So what does that mean for us? What does that mean for the future of consulting? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today, and we're going to discuss what it means for you in your consulting business.
I will never be the same, 'cause that's what it takes.
Hi, my name's Russell Pearson, and welcome to Your Consulting Business Podcast, episode 152. Here's what Nuno Matos, the new CEO of ANZ Bank, had to say earlier this month.
How should we think about the role of consultants going forward? Is this a project that ANZ's going to do, or are you going to be reliant on third-party experts? Because it's something that you've arguably done before, and it's better off for the owners of the company that you do it rather than help from a consultant.
Yeah, well, you'll be pleased to know I don't like consultants, to be honest. I hate consultants, okay? Just so you know.
Noted.
It doesn't
Not in an individual sense.
Okay? Yes, I like some more than others, but my point is the following, and my team has been a victim of this. We're actually reducing significantly. A significant part of our productivity is to depend less on third parties and doing ourselves. I came from a school where things are done by the teams that are in the company, right? Sometimes, in special moments, you need some help, either because they have something you don't have, or because you need to do it faster as an accelerator. But we don't like structured consulting or third parties or managed services. You saw us 1,000 managed services. That's just a small part of what we are doing. So don't read that in any form as we depending on it. It's actually the opposite. Cost management demands you do your own things, and you never use others unless there's a very special reason for it.
So if you've just started a consulting business or you're thinking of starting one, should you be running for the hills? Well, no, and I'll explain in a minute. And if you're a consultant who has been running their consulting practice for some period of time, should you be switching gears? Well, no again. But let me get into it. If you are one of those consultants who's not actually a consultant but a contractor, where you're embedding yourself within an organization or within a government department, I think the end is coming. So you're seeing more of these organizations cut out their consulting partners and focus internally. And there's been a royal commission running over the last couple of years within government departments as well about their use of consultants within government. Now, they are cracking down on all that, and they're going to be moving it out so they can focus in on using their internal talent and their internal teams. And I actually think that's a good thing, because the role of a consultant is not to do the work for our clients. The role of a consultant, and the word consulting comes from consulere, which is to take counsel. People should be coming to take counsel with you because of your expertise and your experience, not because you can get the job done for them. That's a contractor, not a consultant. And there's been a real mix-up of those two worlds. And in fact, in the building industry in particular, there is a concept called the sham contractor scenario, where someone is brought in as an employee of sorts, but they're actually a contractor, which means that they're being paid as a third party, not an employee, which means they don't get the employee rights, privileges, and obligations. They don't get the leave loading. They don't get the leave. They don't get the other benefits, the superannuation of being an employee. And so it's against terms of service anyway. You shouldn't be doing it. But for some reason, there are ways that if you focus in on project-based activities, even if that project is going over multiple years, there's some way able to say that this is a consultant or a contracting engagement. But technically, it's not. You become an employee of the business. You become an employee of the government. I like that this is actually happening because I don't think that that is the role for a consultant. Now, why? Well, because your role is to give counsel. Your role is to guide. Your role is to mentor and advise these individuals. And if you go and play a physical role within the organization and get things done for them, when you are removed from the organization, it leaves a hole. It's the equivalent of like thinking of a business as a human body with arms and legs, and it's had trouble walking. Now you go in and take the role of one of the legs, and now it can walk effectively. Well, we take you out of the organization and the entire thing falls over. And so you don't want to become a cog in the machine where you remove the cog and the whole machine breaks down. You should not be disabling a business by getting too involved. Your role is to enable an organization, enable a government department, enable an individual to achieve results, not do it for them. And so this is where the future of consulting is going. And if you are one of those people who is playing the role of contractor versus consultant, it's time to start looking at it differently. You might decide you don't want to play the role of a consultant. You might decide you want to go back and get employment, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you want to be a successful modern consultant, you really need to start getting hands off. You need to stop getting in there and saving people and going in and doing the work for them. All right, so what does that mean then? What does that mean for the future of consulting? So there are a few moving parts that are going on at the same time. On one side, you've got governments and large organizations doing what they should be doing, which is to remove a reliance on third parties. Number one, it messes up the entire supply chain, and that supply chain moves into responsibility, who's responsible, also who's making decisions, who has ownership of the next steps. And it also means that they can start to become more self-reliant, and I think that that is the way that they should be moving. On the other side, you've got digital technologies and artificial intelligence on the rise and continue to improve day in, day out, which means that there are answers that are becoming more and more available. And that means the old version of consulting is really going away. It's starting to die off. The old version of consulting was the person who was the expert who came in and gave people answers. Now, there's been a transition over the last couple of decades, and so let's start there. In the 90s, people were solution providers or answer providers. They would come in and give you an answer with a solution. And in fact, there was this really interesting In fact, there was this very funny tongue-in-cheek show called House of Lies, which was all about consulting. And what they used to say on that show is that we do the strategy so we can get the after work. Because the after work is the cushy job you get to just implement employees into, really just becoming a recruitment company for these situations. And you just continue to get cash from the engagement or the project as it goes along. And so they'd almost give the strategy away for free. And so a lot of this stuff was happening in the 90s. Now we move to the 2000s, Google comes out, and now answers are available for those people with Google Foo. Those people who can search, who become good at using Google, can find the answers. And so a certain portion of people stop needing the answers from consultants, but they start to want something else, which is, how do I apply my answer to this context, to this situation? And so the modern consultant in the early 2000s starts to move to a point where they realize answers are available. What do I need to do with the knowledge that I now have? I need to apply it. And so this is where niche-based and specialist-based consulting starts making a real rise, and they start to realize that context is everything. So I might have specialist insights and information and answers, but how can I apply it in these different contexts? And that's where you start to get these specialists going, this is my specialist area of context. This is how you can apply it. And that's where the wisdom economy starts to come in. People start to search for wisdom, which is knowledge applied, right? How can you actually apply this knowledge? And that's been pretty much the case all the way through 2010, pretty much to now through 2020. Now that we've got artificial intelligence who can look at a context and provide an answer in a contextual situation, we now have it giving us options, and options that are a lot faster and more affordable than they have been ever before. And so, does the consultant just disappear? Well, no, the consultant needs to adapt. If you are the person who is willing to give counsel, to guide, to advise, to mentor these people through, what is your new step? Well, the thing is, when people have options, they have trouble making decisions. And even when they have decisions that have been made, right, made on paper, they still need to make them in their head, and they need to make them in a way that can enable them to take the next step. So many people will make a decision but not actually take the step. The real decision's made the first step that they take, where they've actually started to move along the path of the plan. So yes, we can provide answers. Yes, we can provide context and wisdom and all these different things on strategy. But at the end of the day, the modern consultant needs to move to a place of guide. How do we guide and mentor people to take steps and make decisions? So that means the modern mentor, the modern consultant, the modern Merlin needs to be a student of human nature. Our role right now is to help people take good advice, because whether it's us giving them the advice or whether it's an artificial intelligence giving them the advice, then they still need to make the decisions and get stuff done, which is a great opportunity for us, because not only are we able to give people strategy, but we can help them input the strategy so they get outcomes, which is the whole purpose at the end of the day. How do we get people to the outcome? Well, for us, it's to help give counsel in enabling them to do it for themselves. So, hands off. We want to learn to become hands off and to be able to guide people with our questions, with our facilitation, with our coaching and mixed modalities, really. Coaching is going to be such a bigger thing in the very near future. So if you're a consultant who's got frameworks and processes, add coaching to the mix, because becoming a student of human nature will be becoming a student of realizing that even if the person appears successful and appears decisive, actually taking the steps can be very difficult for many people. So how can we enable that person to take the steps and actually get the outcome achieved? And that is to unlock the potential that is right there in front of us in every single one of our clients, and to also realize that we're working with individuals. So many people over the years have created strategic plans that are not able to be implemented because the individuals who would implement them are not ready, right? They're not the people who have the capabilities. They're not the people who have the mindset. They're not the people who have the will to actually get them done, to get the plan completed. And so, number one, make sure you're creating strategic plans for the people in front of you, the individuals. We're not working at an organizational level. The organization is made up of these individuals, so get used to working with individuals, get used to understanding the nature of humans, and to help them take those steps so they can actually take your good advice. Now, the second step for the modern consultant is to channel your inner Gandalf. Now, does that mean you need to smoke a pipe and hang out with hobbits? No, you don't. But it means that your job is to show up at very key points of time in the story. Now, if you know the Lord of the Rings, you know that Gandalf disappears all the time. You are supposed to disappear as the consultant. You show up at key points in time to not save the day, but to propel our hero forward. Now, let me show you a little bit about the hero's journey. Now, if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you will know that I enjoy the hero's journey, not just for storytelling, but it is a process for running projects and running processes with people that you are helping to transform. It's a transformational framework. And in fact, it has a number of steps that are key for you as a consultant to recognize. First, for those people who don't know about the hero's journey, it is one that was created by Joseph Campbell in his Hero of 1,000 Faces. It's a really long and boring book. Watch the video probably rather than read the book. But in essence, there is a human person, well, it doesn't have to be a human, it could be a hobbit, but there's a person who's going along their daily life, right? That's a person, believe it or not. They are in what's called the known world. And something happens. There's an insightful incident, and that is called a call to adventure, which funnily enough, in the marketing terms, is call to action as well. But there is a call to adventure. Now, I always talk about there being multiple calls to adventure for an individual or a company or an organization or a client, right? There'll be a tickle on the back of their ear, which is the feather. There's a feather, brick, and a truck. The feather is like, oh, I think you should do something. Like someone says something or mentions something, or they see an advertisement for something, they go, I wonder if I should do that thing. And most people at that point will deny the call. And so they deny this call and they go, nah, don't worry about it. I don't need to think about that. I'll maybe think about it later. And then a brick comes along and hits them over the head, and that's usually something goes wrong. They go, oh, I really should make this change that I need to make. And for those stubborn individuals, which is the majority of us, we have to wait till a truck comes along and clears us up, and then we finally accept the call. Now, when we accept a call, and when our client accepts the call, the mentor shows up. In other words, they notice us. We are the mentor. You are the Gandalf who is sitting there at the intersection between the known world and the unknown world. Right? That says unknown, believe it or not. You are the person who helps them transition across. You actually cross the threshold with them. You are the bridge keeper. You answer these questions 3 and you can help them take them across. This whole process, this first part, is the sales process. And so right at that point, to help people step into the unknown world, step into the thing that you are the expert in, that's when you are needed. You're certainly needed there. Now, from there are next steps, which are trials, and there are weapons that the person needs to use, and these are things, skill sets and capabilities that maybe need to be helped within the client to make sure that they are ready. They're going to actually meet allies, and they're going to discover enemies. And all these things are going to happen around them and for them, so that, let me see if that actually will, no, I'm going to ignore that. Let's write enemies, because that didn't say enemies. Enemies. All right, yep. So they come across these people, they become aware of them, of the things that could hurt them. And on their way, they are moving toward some great fight, some big thing that's going to happen. Now, that could be the launch of a piece of software. That could be the ability to go for a big tender. But there'll be something happening at this point in time over here, which is the equivalent of fighting a dragon, right? Some big thing. And so we are preparing our client to enable them to defeat the big thing and get over to the other side. And right through these trials where they meet their allies, they meet their enemies, we can step back. We can step back and allow them to do their work. But there'll be a point just before they have to fight the dragon where there is all these scary things happening. And this is like a skull and crossbones, believe it or not. And they will enter they'll head towards the cave, and they'll see all the bones of the old dead heroes that didn't quite make it. They didn't defeat the dragon, and they'll start to get worried. And so this actually happens for almost every single client who is about to do something big that's new, right? They're going to come across this self-doubt and this lack of belief, and I don't know that I can do this, and they start to back out, and they start to make excuses. That's when the mentor needs to show up again to give them strength, right? Mentor shows up there as well. So we've got multiple mentor positions. We've got this mentor position here. We've got this mentor position here to help them with their confidence to fight that dragon. Now, they fight the dragon. They win the day. They get a reward. This is a cup, believe it or not. A cup that's like, da-da-da-da. They got the trophy, right? And then they return back to the known world. Now, as someone defeats a dragon, when someone defeats a dragon, they are now a dragon slayer, which is a whole new identity. So let's say they have never launched a big program before, and now they launch a big program. Now they're a program launcher. They have a new identity of self, which means that when they return back to the known world, their old identity dies, and their new identity has to rise. And so you've got this sort of angel moment where they actually become, that's an angel, put a little halo. They become this new identity and the old one dies. Now, when people go through a change of identity, they freak out as well, right? So that's where we need the mentor finally to show up one more time to help them make that transition. So we've got the mentor at the bridge who's helping people to cross the threshold. We've got the mentor at that point when they're about to fight the dragon, when they start to freak out and they start to self-doubt. And once they've actually done it, there's going to be a dip in how they feel about themselves or how they feel about the project and all that stuff, where we want to be there for them. So in practical terms, we are there for the sale. We are there to help them just before they have to do the big thing. And once they've finished, we want to be there to help them mop up and review where they're at and to find the really positive elements of their new identity and potentially set them on a path to a new adventure. And so this is leaning into your inner Gandalf and understanding that you don't need to be here for the whole thing. And for those fans of The Lord of the Rings, I am a nerd just like every single one of you. I love the story, and you'll find that there's times when Gandalf disappeared, yet the hero was still able to continue. That's what you're trying to do here. You do not have to be there for every single element of their journey. You need to be there for those key moments to make sure that they actually get to their outcome on the other side. If you'd like to know more about the hero's journey and actually becoming a modern consultant, you might want to join the Consulting Guild, which is all about being a specialist consultant working in this day and age and actually working together with other consultants from around the world, where we grow and learn together. If you'd like to know more about the Consulting Guild, go to consultingguild.com. And so the third step to becoming a modern consultant in the future of consulting and really thriving in that space, rather than actually being given what you get, you can actually take control of the situation by stopping focusing out there and actually focus in here. So your ability to improve, to work on self-development, mindset, leadership, and self-leadership, mastery, and understanding that there is no true mastery. Mastery is very much like trying to approach the speed of light. As you get close to mastery, mastery keeps moving out further. Your potential continues to grow. Means that not only have you actually got a career, but you've got a calling. This is an opportunity for you to continue to improve into your 70s, 80s, and 90s. Now, you might think, well, what about retirement? Well, if you are running a select consulting practice, which is the one I recommend, then you are in control of your own time. You're basically living your retirement years now. You are taking the days and using the days that you want to do the things that you want to do. And in between that, you are running a consulting practice. Now, we teach that inside the Forge and the Consulting Guild. But it's not just about that. It's about understanding that what would you do in your retirement? Well, in your retirement, if you had everything you wanted, you're probably going to walk more, spend time with friends more, spend time with family. Maybe you'll travel a bit. You can do all of those things with a modern consulting business model. And the select consulting model is what we recommend. So, investing in yourself, investing in understanding who you are and who you are within the world becomes a very attractive opportunity for those people who are wanting leadership. And so it's your job as the modern Merlin to be ready and to be who you need to be able to give counsel for the future of leadership, for the Arthurs out there who need your guidance. And so who are you going to use as your next mentor? What is the area of development that you need to step into? Who is your coach? Who helps you become better at what you do? These are considerations that you should be putting more effort into rather than deadlines that some external thing is requiring you to deliver by. You are not a delivery boy and girl. You are a select consultant, which means you get to select the things that you have in your life. And the way that you do that is by working on yourself so you can become and enable yourself to become who you need to become, to be the mentor for these people who will be tomorrow's leaders. And so the CEO of the ANZ Bank says he hates consultants. Well, I just think he hasn't met any good ones. And I think your opportunity is to become one of the greats, to become one of the really modern Merlins of your time, which means that you are the person that people are going to gravitate to. You are the person that people seek counsel from. And the way through is to really understand humans and to understand that human nature and to help people make decisions and get outcomes. It's to be the Gandalf, to be there when you need to be there, but not there to actually do the work for them, and to understand that it's more important to understand who you are than what is going on in the rest of the world, so that you can be really a pillar that actually stands amongst the chaos. My name is Russell Pearson. This is the Your Consulting Business Podcast, episode 152. If you're interested to get more episodes just like this, either go back and check out our back catalogue of 151 other episodes, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you get notified when the next episode becomes available. And if you haven't already, go to russellpearsonprograms.com and you can actually download the free resource that's available right there, right now. Until next time, stay passionate, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.